All right then, so let's quickly pitch into River State, because it doesn't look like the conversation is going to be going away anytime soon. What was your first reaction when you saw finally that the Supreme Court had given a verdict? First of all, reinstating the 27 lawmakers, the Amaole-led faction of the River State House of Assembly. And also the local government elections were annulled by the Supreme Court. Something that, Governor Fubara has taken in good faith. What's your, first reaction and interpretation of the Supreme Court's judgment?
Well, thank you very much. I think to some extent, the verdict of the Supreme Court was not a surprising one, because when you look at the nitty-gritty of this, there is no way under any guise that you say that you are going to present your budget, the appropriation for a whole state, to 4 out of 31 legislators. It will be standing the law on the head by thinking that you can go to court and one way or the other, there will be some technicalities or whatever that you use to justify that. So it's not totally unexpected the way the verdict has gone. The other thing is that we've been telling people that you cannot quantify the damage the military did to our policy. And what I mean by that is the fact that most of these issues coming up, if not for military intervention that took them away from us, no matter how bad the democracy is, we'll have been learning on it and we have been making corrections and we will have gone beyond some of these issues that are arising now. Maybe 20, 25, 30 years ago, we will have resolved this type of thing. But that is just that by the way. The other thing I want to say is that I commend the governor of the state for accepting in good faith the outcome of the cases in the Supreme Court. I know they still have another case pending somewhere as to whether or not the legislators who purportedly become will still be taken out being the substantive members of the House of Assembly. Until that is clarified, we have to work with what we have. And that brings up a very fundamental issue. Look, I am a peace building specialist. I'm not saying I'm an expert. But in peace building, you must look at all the options you have. Managing conflict. No matter what extent they go in River State, on some of these issues, going to court and so on, the leaders, the fathers, the mothers, the real people who are the elders to look up to in that state, they are the ones who can resolve this issue. No matter what victory either of the parties or any of all the parties get for the court, it will just be a temporary relief. You cannot take away the human element. And until we are able to sit down, look at ourselves in the faces and tell ourselves to that thing, then this thing, and it seems to be a recurring thing in most of the states. You saw the battle between Akpabio and Emmanuel in your state, they are acquired. It has also been happening. I know the case, the treatment of Lavender in the West State was just a fallout of the disagreement with Adedibu, the late with Adedibu. So this godfatherism thing, no matter what name, but the thing will not go away in a hurry. And then as much as people, when they are desperate for position, go ahead and say, oh, anything you bring, I will do. And they get there, they want to recant on it. We will have body. More so, the person involved, most central to me, is the Minister of Health today, the former governor of UK.
Yes.
From day one, those who are good at analyzing this will have told you, Wike was fighting the battle of his life from day one. And to go into this, I don't know how much time you have, but I think one needs to understand the dynamics surrounding the political career of quickly, and now he got to where he is today to understand the desperation and then the position, the rigidity arising from him in trying to maintain his vice-like grip on the structure, the political structure he claimed he had in the state. That is where I see.
Those are, really, critical things that you have talked about this morning. But another issue that we're seeing on the heel of this, let's move towards the local government elections that, Governor Fubara conducted and swore in, this chairman. They literally had gone to work. But on the heel of this Supreme Court judgment, now he told them to hand over, of which they did on Monday. Literally all of them handed over to the Administrative Council to take on the work of the administration until fresh elections are held. But my question here is, the River State Independent Resident Electoral Commission stood with the governor and did the election. One of the grounds for, an annulment of election would be if this election was done without the collaboration of INEC at the state level. So that raises a question in and of itself. But yes, the courts, can overrule depending on the evidences that they have before them. So two questions now. Are they going to reinstate the commissioners that were there, the local government chairman, I beg your pardon, that were there before the sets elected under Fubara? Noting also that there is a fresh twist. Local government chairman elected under the Amechi-led administration back in 2015 that were also moved out of that position by a Supreme Court judgment by River State, Supreme Court chamber. They were also moved out of that capacity. They are now saying that they are the most appropriate and capable persons to take over that particular position. So it looks like this fight is not going to go away.
Well, you ask questions, and I'm happy that you have also answered the question. One, an acknowledgement that there is a fight on ground. And so when there is a fight in a conflict, there are different interests. And by the time you start analyzing the interests, some of them will be valid, some of them will be interesting, some of them will be laughable. I don't see a law now reinstating people who are there in 2015 or so, coming back to become chairman of local government now. It's laughable. Whoever is bringing that, I think, is one of the comedians of the century. That's the way I will see that. But you see, the reason why the issue of local government administration has become very serious now is that, in the past, governors through their executive sphere used to dissolve the local government administration, put in theatrical committees and so on. Now we have moved beyond that level. That one, no governor can use executive sphere to dissolve the local government and put in a theatrical committee, because it's been accepted now that the Nigerian Constitution does not recognize theatrical committee for local government administration. And concomitant with that is the fact that if we do not recognize theatrical committee, then it means that any local government without substantive elected leadership cannot be allowed to access the resources from the federal allocation account to such local government. And that is why you see a flurry of activities by governors now. They don't want to run out of it, they want to have elections. But this one is a critical one, and I will still maintain my position. Those ones who are gone, I don't think there is a pronouncement by the court that it will take over. So something has to give indeed. And beyond the laws and everything, the human element will be brought to play. Let the people involved, the protagonists of this fight that you rightly call it, let them be brought to the table. I know there have been efforts in the past, but those who are resolving the issue, a third-party mediator, one of the lessons you learn is that you should be intentional about the way you try to mediate. And do not think you have a magic wand that can solve the problem in a hurry. It's going to take time, and you must have the temperament to be able to resolve it. So for those who have attempted, including the president at the federal level, Chief Odili, a lot of other people, I think they have to be more accommodating, to be more tolerant, and still bring these people back down to the table, sit down, and look for a win-win way of resolving this issue. I stand by you. Sorry, without sense of responsibility, that the court, no matter what you do, no matter what beat you, anybody gets from the court. We know River State, like most of our states. I can tell you, this verdict coming up and down will not solve the problem. You still have to resolve this thing in a non-adversarial way and try to balance the interest of all the people involved to be able to resolve it. Thank you.
All right. So my next line of questions would be the crisis in Rivers State. So far, we've seen human rights lawyer from Rivers, of Rivers origin, writing, declaring their support for Governor Aseembly Fubara. And this morning, we've seen the Niger Delta Avengers also declaring their support for Governor Fubara and vowing to resist every attempt by Nyesom Wike and federal actors to destabilize the peace and stability and the rate of progress brought in by Aseembly Fubara. Just a reminder that so far, the people of Rivers State said, compared to Nyesom Wike, Fubara is more people-oriented in his project. And of course, that seems to have endeared the governor to the people of Rivers State. What do you foresee happening if this issue is not resolved? Because with the Niger Deltas out, Avengers out, literally we are getting towards a moment where we'll have a lot more bloodshed and violence if this happens.
Yes, I think we are gradually moving towards, slowly and definitely moving towards that. Then let me make this point. Whether one governor is more people-oriented than the other. When Wike was there, is it not people from River State that were hailing him, calling him emperor, calling him Mr. Project? The man they are celebrating today, when he leaves office tomorrow, don't be surprised that the same set of people will also tell you that whoever is talking to you is more people-oriented and more people focused and project-oriented and so on. That is the truth about our policy. But beyond that, my take is still very clear on this. The Niger Delta Avengers we are talking about, they are still human beings. I've had the opportunity of getting involved in trying to resolve issues they were actually involved in. I was part of the team that had the inaugural meeting in Akwa Ibom State in Ethiopia in 2016. When the Niger Delta Avengers said they will finish, and men said they will finish the federal government, oil pipes were being broken here and there. But at the end of the day, we sat down, leaders were called, King Jaja of Okobo was there, King Smith was there, people were there from all over the Niger Delta. And I can tell you in confidence, Chief Saraigbe was there. I was the one that the person who came to represent the Niger Delta Avengers called aside and told me at that meeting that, look, we came here to observe, to see if you people are trying to do what others have been doing, trying to support the federal government and just throw money at us for per diem and run. But I've seen that you people are sincere. So go back and tell them that by Thursday next week, the Niger Delta Avengers who said they will never dialogue with government, the Buhari administration, that they will be ready for dialogue. And I went further to tell me that the thing that they were having that meeting in New York, and Tuesday the following week, there are certain things that have been put in place that nobody could stop. And if you go into records, you discover that 2 major facilities were bombed between that day and that Tuesday. The truth to their words, true to what the representative told me, by Thursday the following week, they declared a truce and they were ready to dialogue with federal government. So in all of this, don't rule out dialogue. It is still the most potent, the most effective, the most reliable, the most result-oriented, and most peaceful way that we have enduring solution to this issue. I maintain all these court orders, court judgments, yes, they will be there for posterity, but the human element will still be there. You can see it coming up now. Yes, the government has even said, oh, he's going to respect this thing. But people are already saying that if the Supreme Court judgment is going to be implemented to the letter, and then the security forces agencies are called, state security agencies are called in, and already people are saying that they cannot do this or that. Plus, pronouncement of court, most often, we also use the security agencies to enforce them. You've seen a lot of occasions in the past in Rivers State. This local government elections we are talking about, gunshots everywhere, when people are saying they are resuming their offices, people are saying they are still the substantive one and so on. So for me, just like you put it, we are slowly, gradually, but definitely moving towards bloodshed. Not bloodshed, more bloodshed, because already there has been bloodshed. That the leaders of the state, those who can talk to these people can come out and talk to them. Let me tell you the truth. There is nobody, whoever you are as a person, there will not be somebody that you will say, it is because of my respect for you, I'm 15 grand. It is for those who want to mediate to be able to identify such persons for each of the actors. We did it when the Jonathan administration was to leave. We were afraid of what will happen if the elections will hold, and Buhari should lose, or Jonathan should lose. People were there. We saw people who spoke to President Jonathan, and they were able to convince him. It was difficult identifying that the President General Buhari will listen to. But at the last minute, we were still able to get somebody. We spoke to who promised and called him and told him that if it happens, know that that is the will of God. So those who are doing this to be intentional about managing this in a non-adversarial way. The people we tell, they are conflict of interest. Those who want to sell weapons, those who want to collect money from government, those who want to collect money from wiki, at the end of the day, it's the common man in Rivers State that will suffer. And it is Nigeria in general that will be given that bad name, that we are still at that crude level that will resort to violence to resolve our misunderstanding.
Speaking of the fact that we are gradually, getting to a time where there might be more violence because of this River State issue, remember also that the Supreme Court has upheld the 27 lawmakers rather, that defected or actually resigned. My first question would be, what political party do these, lawmakers belong to?
The political party?
Yes. Did they resign from PDP or did they move on to another political party? Where do they belong to?
Yes, there is also a court case of that going on. And I think I understand that by April, there will be a verdict on that one. But as it is, based on what the Supreme Court has given, it is believed that they are still members of PDP. And the issue then has been that if you are moving from a political party to another party, the justification you must have for it is that there is crisis in your party, and the crisis seems to be irreconcilable, and that is the basis for you to become to another political party. Even if people say that that situation was not there, to warrant their moving to the APC, purportedly then, don't forget that even the governor himself was almost gone, had almost gone to APP. When this crisis, so can we say the PDP is intact and there is no crisis in PDP today? Or do we say that the crisis is not big enough to warrant people to cancel to other political parties? That is an issue for the court to decide. But like I said, when you are trying to mediate, there are three major issues in human endeavors. The human beings take for granted that these are issues that can solve a lot of problems. Once we drop our ego, if I need help from you, if I want to cut you, when I say please, it shows that I'm humble. And then I want you to do this. Please, dear. is laying the basis for a very good relationship. The second one is, I said, please, Abi. Then there is the other one, I've forgotten, but there is PIP, please. And then when the thing has been done, then you have the word thank you to say you have done this for me. So if we can, the idea is, I am sorry. Please, when you want to lay the foundation, when things have gone wrong and you want things to be resolved, you should be humble enough to say, oh, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I overreacted. I am sorry. It really helps a lot. And when things have been resolved and whatever, and the other party, whoever he or she is, says, well, we've taken it in good faith. I'm also dropping my own hardline position and this thing. Then you can end up by saying, thank you for at least giving peace a chance. And I think these three elements, please, I am sorry, thank you. I think one person or the other, each of them has one thing to say in all of this. And between the legislator and the governor, if the governor is able to say, okay, please, I want us to work together for the good of the people of Rivers State. And then the people now say, oh, you know you did this, you did this, you did this. You say, oh, I am sorry. And then, having said that, it is now for the legislature, oh, Mr. Governor, Your Excellency, thank you for having the interest of our people at heart. Then let's sit down and resolve this. But don't forget, all these persons you are talking about, they are just the mere personalities you see on the topic. The real issues, the real people have those issues that are the contending issues today. You cannot rule out Swift or delete from this. You cannot rule out Rotimi Amechi from this. You can't rule out Wike from this. You can't rule out Dakuku Peterson from this. These are big, but even Abe, all of them are big politicians, even traditional rulers who are also involved in all of this. So it's a very complex thing that there is no magic wand that can be used in a hurry. The court ruling and so on will be like a magic wand, but you can see those magic wand will not stand the test of time. That is the reality.
And I really like the fact that you have talked about diplomacy, the diplomacy that is necessary to address these issues. You know, please, I am sorry and thank you at the end of the day when we get to resolve this. But it doesn't look like the political ego of the pro-Wike side or the pro-Fubara side are anywhere close to finding middle grounds as of now. Part of the key things after Friday's Supreme Court judgment is the fact that there are fears of a likely move to impeach Sim Fubara again by the Amaole-led, Rivers Assembly at this time. What do you really think about that? And Governor Sim Fubara has come out to tell his, supporters not to be afraid of any, rumors of impeachment. Maybe not yet considered, but is there a possibility that if please, I am sorry and thank you is not put into the conversation, that there may be fresh moves to impeach Fubara, especially because a lot of his bills or policies presented to the faction at the State House of Assembly may be hitting snags, and it will, create more problems for the what would I call it? The dispensing of work in Rivers State.
The truth of the matter, I mentioned, Fubara seems to be at the center of it. But there are people behind him who are goading him on. The legislators you are talking about, they are the people you are talking about today that they impeach him. But we know that if the direct approach is made, if Wike says today that, okay, don't worry, please, they are not going to impeach him, and he gives his words to people that he trusts, people that he can say, oh, it's because of you, I'm backing down on this. All these things will be nullity. Nothing will happen. It's still about diplomacy. And that's why I say it is the only thing that can get lasting solution. This problem we are discussing today goes back to a long time before even the ascension of Fubara as the executive governor. I said it earlier on, that Wike was fighting the battle of his life. You understand how Wike became a governor. He became a minister based on the nomination of Amechi. Amechi had problem as the chairman of Governors Council with people in PDP. And he fell out with them. People like Aregbesola, Fayemi, Oshiomole, they were the ones who rallied around him. And he was able to defeat Jan, the candidate of the PDP, even though the PDP had more governors there. And he got a second term. And from that, it became obvious that if the PDP wanted to deal with Amechi, the only person they can hit and deal with then was the person of Wike, who was Minister of State for Education, a nominee of Amechi. Wike knew how to play the politics. He wormed his way into the heart of Patience Jonathan, and that was the beginning of his ascension. One, he was able to retain his position. He also ended up as the governor. Don't forget, the calculation then was that Amechi and Wike are from the same senatorial district. Ordinarily, Wike shouldn't have succeeded Amechi. That senatorial district, he was eventually able to spend 16 years, whereas it's just the Fubara group that are having the short seat for the first time now. Don't forget about that. And so, when Wike sustained himself there, the reality there was that I'm not going to go that much into it, but we all saw how elections were held in Rivers State, the two occasions that Wike purportedly won to become governor. Amechi couldn't vote on one occasion. Women protested naked on the street against Wike, but the federal mic was used to prop him up and get him what he wanted. And Wike knew that once he leaves office, the executive power and the immunity he enjoyed will be taken and will become a politically exposed person for his adversaries to deal with. And meanwhile, Amechi and others were patiently waiting for him to leave that position so that they will deal with him. Concomitant with that, and luckily for them, the APC now took over power at the center. So they have the consolidated power to deal with the Wike out of office. Wike was also looking at them. He tried to see how he could get something to give him the leverage he can use, whether to blackmail them, or it's because I was a presidential candidate against whoever contested the APC, or because I was the vice presidential candidate. And that's why he was desperate to get the ticket of the PDP. Unfortunately, he met the old warhorse there, Atiku, who outfoxed him. And so Wike lost out there. And thinking that Atiku would pick him as vice president, which would still give him a little bit of what he wanted. It was also God, and Okowa, the then governor of Delta, was picked. I hope you are following what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So
when you now saw that happening, it was obvious that Wike must find a way to survive politically, or else he will have been investigated by EFCC. He will likely be on the run now. And because Amechi also went ahead to fall out with his people in APC, so Wike was able to bring his head in, because the APC needed somebody who will be the arrowhead in Rivers State. Amechi started fighting them because he lost the primary. I mean, he was the first person to use the health situation of Tinubu to even campaign against him before they went to the primary. So the situation made Amechi to become a non-entity in APC. And because APC was desperate, Wike looked at the opportunity, he moved in there, and he has gotten what he wanted. So now, he's one leg in PDP, ready to help them destabilize PDP when the need arises, and ready to also use PDP to destabilize whoever when the situation arises. And it's also one leg in APC as the asset man for anything they want to do in Rivers State. So these are the issues that you need to understand. And I say that no matter whoever you think is no longer in office, who has fallen out with APC or PDP or whatever, these are people with vested interest in all of this. Yeah. And so it's the common man on the street that I pity, that they are just using as pawns in the chessboard game. Because at the end of the day, it is governance in the state that will suffer. All this court thing, yes, fine, but I can tell you, if they get the opportunity now, even if they impeach that man now, his people, his supporters will go and also regroup. Another election will come. And what will it bring? It's violence, acrimony, and it's going to paralyze the machinery of governance. That is what we get at the end of the day. Thank you.
These are serious things that you have shared. Looking into the political dynamics in Rivers State back in time, taking it all the way to Amechi, and it raises more questions. But there's something pertinent you alluded to, talking about federal might. And we see this repeat itself every now and then in the polity of the federal government, in the way politics is played in Nigeria. It's just for the president or the presidency or the leading party to have vested interest in a state and they swing it in their direction. How do you think that this is affecting democracy as a whole? If we even want to compare it side by side with IBB's recent revelation of, once again, vested federal might being used against an aspect of democracy.
You see, the truth of the matter is that fortunately, you have brought a major irritant into the discussion, the person of IBB, who think Nigerians have very short memory. People like us who confronted him and his ilk then, we know what we went through. It's easy today to sit down in their parlor and be discussing one book or written for somebody by somebody in the name of somebody. Mm-hmm. But let's leave that. The truth is that a military dictatorship is not the ideal thing for one in a democracy. But also don't forget, when you allow dictatorship to stay for too long, it brings up the remnant, the relics of that mentality of dictatorship. We definitely rub on the democracy you are putting in place. First of all, let me point this out. Anywhere in the world where the military is going to organize election and hand over to civilians, that election is never free and fair because it must be predetermined. They will never hand over to somebody that they do not have the guarantee that the person will give them a clean bill of health and allow them to go away. So that is the first thing we should understand. And if that happens, look at our policy at the federal level. A lot of ex-military rulers, starting with Obasanjo, now we've had Buhari, David Mark, whose name has been coming on so consistently as a major antagonist to the enthronement of democracy. It was there in the Senate for how many times? How many this thing in the Senate there? So you look at all this, element of the dictatorship is still there. But gradually, we are going beyond it. Let's say this for Buhari. Buhari was somebody that was able to say, okay, if we lose, let it be in some states. If we don't get it. If not for that, whoever thought that a Tinubu will lose a presidential election in Lagos State, that he will come second in Lagos State, and at the end of the day, heavens will not fall. So gradually, we are making it, we are moving on. And that is why I think that the civil society organizations should not rest on their oars, and they should look at it more so. There are other disturbing trends all over the world now that should alert us to what is happening. America, that used to be seen as the ideal democracy, the model to be what Donald Trump is doing in America is ruling through executive order now. It's more or less something that a lot of people are liking to dictatorship. And beyond that, all the aids they are cutting, most of the countries, UK, Netherlands, all of them are cutting aid to other countries now. And when you ask them why, they want to strengthen their defense. Is it that another world war is imminent and every country is preparing for it? That is one. But looking at the way, the type of things Trump has done now in America, it also has serious implications for us in Africa. Because the way it's moving now, executive order, executive order, executive order, that is more or less a sense of dictatorship. With that not strengthening the hand of military, we also see the cases in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and the other one, the three military places now, the way they are going, without not strengthening the hands of other people. So that is why I say the civil society needs to be alert. And it takes all these small things. You have the rank of going on in Osun State over local government election. You have the one in Rivers State. There are other states too that have pockets of their own. If these things are not properly managed, that could be enough justification for the military to come in. And if the military comes in today, and that is my fear, the America that we used to first of all look to that America, they will ban them, they will not allow them to do this. They themselves have their own military man, so to say. in place now. And these are really trying times. These are disturbing developments for us all over the world. And as Nigerians, I think whatever crisis we must manage, we should be able to manage them in a non-adversarial, non-violent way to be able to sustain our democracy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Of course, we are speaking this morning to Mr. Basho Lashipo, who is an ACE Public Affairs Analyst. He has said this morning, of course, that he is a strong peace advocate. And we're just looking at the dynamics of things, in Rivers State. And he has given, really strong, succinct interpretations. And I would say, just taking us back in time to look at what really brought about these issues. And talking about how it should be resolved, we are looking at diplomacy. What would the political ego of all the people and stakeholders involved be, would they be willing to lay that down? Mr. Lashko, just before I let you go this morning, it's been a long conversation. The Amale-led faction has given Governor Fubara 48-hour ultimatum for him to represent the budget, the 2025 budget. Remember that he had presented and used up the 2024 budget that he presented to his four-man faction in the state assembly. And part of the thing that the Supreme Court did this time, they're also having conversations of withholding allocation from Rivers State. And that's something that a lot of persons have criticized the courts for taking on. When you say you're taking away allocation from a state, you are literally affecting the final man, the workers, the artisan, everybody that is supposed to get, whatever miserly portion they get out of these monies. But 48-hour ultimatum, the governor has also come out to, say he cares nothing about that particular ultimatum.
Well, it boils down to one thing. If he cares about the people of the state, if he doesn't want to turn himself from being a hero of the people to a villain, to a tyrant overnight, it's just a matter of dropping his ego and going to present it. At the end of the day, let me tell you the reality. The moment he says he's willing to go and present it, the other thing that they will stay up outside for all of us to know is, what is our input into that thing? And all this budget padding and all those things will come into it. At the end of the interest we are talking about, whether it is Wike or Delay or all of them, they want control of resources and political structure. So it's a matter of one person or the other dropping his ego, and if we have the right person to mediate, it's about, negotiation, give and take, and all these things will be resolved. If it holds a high-line position, I say it's all going. It's also an issue that we go back to the court, that they gave him a deadline, he refused to comply, and it will still just be. That's why I said this thing cannot be wished away by a magic wand. But let the right people call all these people to order, talk to them. I can tell you, if the resources are available, the time, and the right people are allowed to come and mediate, this issue will be resolved. Look at Osun State. They've conducted elections against the court order saying they should not conduct it.
Yes.
And even the governor, after saying that he has conducted elections, he told the people he purportedly swore in not to take over the local government secretariat because the people he suspended or he sent away, dissolved, had been restated by the court. So the question is, if you knew that at the end of the day these people will not be able to assume office, why didn't you wait till October when the tenure of these people will expire before we have the election? And I told them at the forum recently, what the governor in Osun did is like when you say a child has got 380 in JAMB and he has been offered admission, and then they say come and resume, he says he's awaiting results. His WAEC result is not out. So at the end of the day, it's a nullity. That's the reality of this thing. But the important thing I want to point out there is that because that thing has created a lot of problems in Osun State, 48 hours ago, we saw Chief Bisi Akande, the leader of APC, who is also from that place, having a meeting with the governor, Adeleke, who is the PDP EMS man in the state. And that is why I say elders must have roles to play in this thing. if Akonde is talking to Adeleke, it's not because of his personal interest. It's looking at it that at the end of the day, it is the people of the state that will suffer. And I won't be surprised if in the next 1 week or two, they are able to come out with a political solution, diplomacy, on how they will resolve this thing. Oh, okay, election are there, we didn't participate, but because of this, okay, we will allow your people to assume office in October. Let our own people finish their tenure as the court has said, and whatever. These are issues that can be resolved amicably if people don't hold too rigidly because of ego, because of greed, because of just believing that, oh, I must let people know I'm the wielder of this power. Because the common man is the one who will suffer at the end of the day. And that is why the same Nigeria Labour Congress is there, the trade unions who are there, when all these things started happening, they can see if they stood and leave them without getting involved, they can see how it's going to affect their workers now. Because if all these allocations are withheld, how are they going to pay? So they should come in at this level too and start playing active role in trying to get these things, issues resolved. We are not saying they should sideline the law, but don't forget the law is made for the man and not man for the law. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There is a very key, strong factor in all of the conversation that we have had this morning, and it would be the people of Rivers State. Where do the people stand in all of this? And if we expand that conversation to the national sphere, where do the electorate stand in, making decisive decisions as to who governs them and where they take the trajectory of the state or the nation to? Where do the Rivers people stand in all of this? What should be their disposition?
Hello?
Okay, Mr. Lashford, can you hear me?
Yes, please, can you take that again?
So I'm asking what the fate of the Rivers people should be. What should their disposition in all of this be? Looking at the fact that they are the electorate and they are the first and last recipient of all that is going on.
I said it that the common man will be the one to suffer at the end of the day. Whether they get paid salary or not, the governor and his family is not going to starve. Wike and his family will not starve. Some of these legislators will not starve. It is the common man at the end of the day that will suffer. And that is why I said that the different groups with interest in all of this will come into this and find a peaceful and amicable resolution to this. Because by the time you also go to court and counter-court order on all of this, if you only drag these things on and on and on and on, and at the end of the day, what will happen is the people that will. So the people too must find a way to speak up. And you can see that I've mentioned the civil society organization. You still have mentioned the Nigeria Labour Congress. This is the time for them to also sit down and have a common front without necessarily being unnecessarily antagonistic to any of the parties. Let them talk to elders that they think can speak to Wike, Chief Odili, people who can talk to Aniki, people who can talk to the Fubara, the governor, people who can Godwin Ade, a lot of prominent people in the state. Let them first of all realize that at the end of the day, they are not going to lead people from Osun or Ogun or Anambra State. They are leaders of people in Rivers State. And whatever they have, we have serious implications for the lives and well-being of the people of the state. So if they are really truly leaders, if their people want to be servants of the people, if their people think about their people's situation first, then they should be able to drop their ego. And what people don't know is that sometimes it's not that you are operating from a position of weakness when you say, I am sorry, or when you drop your ego and say this. When Aregbesola became the governor of Osun State, a similar situation played out. The PDP was in control of the local government and everything. And so immediately they declared him from the Supreme Court as the duly elected governor. That's when the governor then has spent almost 3 years illegally in office, according to the pronouncement of the court. Aregbesola came in to inherit everything PDP. And these people jubilated in April that, yes, the first thing they do to compensate their people is to dissolve the local government council, appoint caretaker committee, put their people there, the compensation for working for them. But Aregbesola didn't do that. The House of Assembly was populated by PDP people. They were ready to do battle with him. And I know I have people in APC who were angry with him, but he told them that you go out of your way to look for friends, not for enemies. These people, the case is in court, their tenure is also almost over. Let's allow them to finish. Then, and they were surprised when he made the pronouncement openly. Live broadcast that please, I'm not disturbing the caretaker, the elected representative of the local government. Let's do your tenure or whatever the court says. Pending this, the outcome, I won't disturb you. And when he said this, people were shocked. And when he went to the House of Assembly, I watched it live. The Speaker of the House and all members of the House of Assembly, PDP people openly apologized to him because they thought he was coming to be a rabble-rouser like all the typical politicians. But he told them that, look, if we start fighting each other, one, as I bring budget, you will not approve. I appoint people to be commissioner, you will not approve. What will I be able to do at the end of the day is the common man in Osun State that will suffer. And at the end of the day, because they thought he would do the same thing and they were ready to do, but they apologized that they misread him, misinterpreted his intentions from the beginning, and they apologized to him openly. And with that, he was able to have smooth sailing. At the end of the day, when those people finished their tenure, unsurprisingly, many of them even now they come from their political party to join the APC, the political party of Aregbesola. So in your weakness, there is a lot of strength. There is a lot of things to be gained if you know how to do it right. But at the end of the day, my worry is that with due respect, all ever the governor is saying, whatever action is going to take, will be dictated to him by some people. That is the reality. And he himself is not the real problem. Those people are the ones who have issues active to grind with the former governor Wike. And you know, historically, we should see the swearing in and the party they have of Fubara. Another irritant in Ekiti State who was governor, Fayose, go and watch the video clip. He warned Fubara that please do not go against your godfather because it has very terrible implications. And if I had a godfather to help me during my time, to lead me, advise me, I wouldn't have done some of the things I did and I wouldn't have suffered. What he said then has become prophetic. Some people are using the governor to fight Wike, and Wike was surprised at that kind of effrontery. Is it not my Akata general that I stood my ground that will succeed me, even when there were other persons people were bringing up? So these are issues among and between all of them that they should be able to resolve. There are a lot of interested parties, but those ones are up there. They will not be the ones to suffer if salaries are not paid. They will not be the ones to suffer if the local government funds are withheld. They won't be the ones to suffer if allocations are withheld. And at the end of the day, the law has made this pronouncement. It is for Rivers State to say, no, we are brothers and sisters, we are siblings of the same parents. We should be able to resolve our differences amicably. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Basha Lashukwa. Quite, what would I call it? A really revelatory conversation that we've had this morning. It's easy, to look at the political side of the issue and not just think of what might have started all of this in the beginning. But just in the spirit of Ramadan, as the holy month of Ramadan has started for Muslim faithfuls all around the world, especially looking at our catchment area, there is a troubling trend that is rising. We have 4 states in the north that have declared that primary and secondary school students should be home for another 2 to 3 weeks to observe the Ramadan fast, and this is causing a lot of uproar at this time. Khan has said they are not okay with that. Some parents have said they are not okay with that. What are your thoughts about this? I mean, these are crisis-prone areas which are also under serious risk in terms of out-of-school children. So education is already faring poorly in these areas, and the governors are asking primary and secondary school students to stay at home.
Poverty has become a potent weapon, pulling the people and holding them down. And please, when I say poverty, I'm talking about poverty from the 2 perspectives. There is the poverty of material, which has to do with your social status, which overnight, if the will of God, you need the grace of God, it can be overcome overnight. I may be a poor person as I'm talking to you, not in India, I'm a poor person as I'm talking to you now. If I receive the grace of God and one politician or a friend says, come and take this contract, my situation can change overnight between now and next month. I may become a multimillionaire. I'm not talking about poverty at that level, but I'm talking about the poverty of intellect, which has become an endemic issue in the North. Unfortunately, there are leaders there. A lot of them are professors, they are doctors, they are degree holders, exposed to situations outside the country, in advanced countries how things are done. But because they use religion to manipulate their people. Some of these people say schools to be closed. They also have their children going to school in UK, in America, in all over Europe. Oh. They did not have their children to leave school here and come home to come and stay at home in Nigeria because it is time for fasting, it is Ramadan. I am a Muslim, and I don't see where in Islamic tenets they say that you should allow your family to suffer or you neglect your source of income, your source of knowledge. Even the Quranic schools that they have, this is the time that people get more dedicated to attending those schools and making sure they bring themselves closer to God. But anything that will bring knowledge to their people and will make some of their people to really ask them questions, they just use every opportunity to bring it down. You can imagine a child who's going to write for this year.
Yes.
His counterparts are in school. He was going to stay at home for 1 month. And it's the same questions they are going to answer at the end of the day. It's the same exam they will write at the end of the day. It's the same university they will all aspire to go. And that is the tragedy of our time. But one thing I say is this: those who make peaceful change impossible make violence inevitable. And that is why some of these children that they are suppressing, thinking that is the best way to manipulate and prevent them from being at par with their counterparts in other parts of the country, they will be the one at the end of the day, one day, that will rise against them. You saw what happened during the last thing. You say children being asked to carry the flag of other countries. They didn't know the implication. It's in the north that the riot is going on, the protest is going on. You see somebody going to remove the traffic lights in the city. It is there, you see somebody going to relieve the signpost of the police station. And you ask yourself, is that person going to establish his own police station at home? Is he going to set up his own traffic road that he needs the light for?
Yeah.
So these are some of the issues in the north. What they have done, I think, should be condemned. But you just say it for record purposes. They like playing to the gallery. They like deceiving their people. They like giving them the impression they are religious. But then, when you are close to some of them, the core Islamic clerics in the north will tell you the truth that the worst set of hypocrites you will get in the north are the politicians. It's one thing they say outside, it's another thing. If they are very sure that it is because they love Islam, that they want their people to stay at home and fast and so on, they should then send for their children who are in other schools across the country or outside the country to also come home, boycott their lectures, and come and stay at home. Don't forget in the north, especially on Friday, if you have anything to do there, you'll be lucky to meet anybody in the office after 11. They will say they are going for prayers. I also carry a lot of activities there. I see how people use the excuse of saying we want to pray. You will ask them to come for a training, due capacity. People will not turn up with a training that say it's 9:30. People will only come in at 12 noon. And when they come in by 1, they will tell you that you need to break for prayer. They finish the prayer, 5 minutes later they are back. They will start telling you, Mr. Bash, is there a way we can finish on time because of insecurity? Our area is not secure. So at the end of the day, what you are booked for them, you will not even be able to cover half of it. It's only when we started, in some cases, we plead with them that no, this cannot be that. But we must continue to talk about it. I won't mention the name, but a notable politician in Nigeria once said that if we allow the North to go the way it is going, the North will continue to drag us back, those who think we are making progress. And so we need to keep talking about it. And these are issues that should be in the public space for people to discuss. And we have their intellectuals there. We have the elite there. They should be the one at the forefront of telling their politicians. The politicians are just using this to appeal to the sentiment of some of the, with due respect, ignorant persons they are indirectly subjecting to this unfortunate whims and caprices of their own that have no sound foundational basis for what they are doing. Thank you.
No foundational basis. Thank you so much, Mr. Basha Lashupo, for coming on Rise and Shine this morning.